episode of the Rusty Beauties restorations. Today we're gonna be working again on this, I think it was 69, I'm not really sure anymore, GT6. And we had this car on the channel before. I don't remember what we've done, but I know that we've done some stuff on it. And one of the problems that it had before was the steering wheel was shaking too much when idling. And at that time we adjusted the carburetors, we tuned up the engine a little bit, and it stopped shaking. But recently the owner started complaining that now it is not shaking at idle, but it's shaking at high speed. And so I took it for a test drive. I actually came to Canadian Tire today to buy something, engine paint. And now on the way back I want to show you what I experienced on my way in here. So at about 70 miles per hour, which is not 70 for whatever reason, it shows a little bit higher. So 70 miles per hour on this speedometer is about 100 kilometers, which is what? Which is 60 miles per hour. So it shows 10-15 miles more than what the actual speed is, but that doesn't matter. At about 70 on this speedometer, it starts shaking a lot, the steering wheel. So let's go for a test drive and I'll show you. Wait for this guy to pass. So before the owner brought it to me, I asked him to make sure that his wheels are in a good shape. I mean, they're balanced, there's no any damages on the actual tires and stuff like that. So he took it to a tire place and they checked the wheels, they balanced them again apparently. So it's not the wheels. And I inspected it actually in the spring, which was like 3 months ago, and there was nothing wrong with the suspension, other than one thing which I'm not gonna mention now, but we might get there later. The thing is though, I think something inside the steering column is not okay, because it shakes way too much. You know what I mean? It doesn't, well, you will see now. I even reached, as it was vibrating, I reached underneath and touched the tube, the outer tube of the steering column, and it doesn't vibrate. The tube actually is mounted pretty well. What vibrates is the steering shaft inside the tube. So I'm worried that maybe there's something, bushing or something that's missing inside, or it wasn't assembled properly. So I think that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna have to take it apart and see if all the parts are there. But anyways, we're gonna put it, okay, there we go now. You see? I don't know how well you can see it in video, but this is what I'm talking about. So it shakes quite a bit, at literally 70 per hour. But it doesn't shake like this, which would be the wheels. It just shakes like this, which is weird. So it's either not secured properly somewhere, or I don't know. So I think it's not anything on the suspension or the drivetrain. I think it's actually the actual steering column problem. So let's get it home and inspect it better. Alright, so back in the garage, and if you come here and shake a little bit the steering column, you can see how much movement there is here. And also if I shake the steering wheel from there like this, you can see that this movement is also there. And what is this? Like there's a paper roll here for whatever reason, I don't know. But if you see, if we shake the steering wheel here, the whole steering column is not moving. What's moving is the shaft only. There must be bearings inside, like bearings, they call them bearings, but they are actually plastic bushings. that I think are worn or not there at all. Let me show you on the schematic maybe. So here you see there's a bearing here and there's a bearing there, that I'm thinking that probably this bearing is missing or it's worn. Let me see what they look like. So we have two options, $6 and $43. Okay, let's see this one. Doesn't look great. Okay. Obviously there's a little bit of a difference in the quality also, not only in the price. Anyway, so what I think we're gonna do is we're gonna take it apart, the whole shaft, and we're gonna see if we have those bearings and if they are in a good shape, if they're there, or maybe they're missing completely. Anyways, we have to take it apart. Okay, so it doesn't play so much there as much as it plays here. See, this end plays a lot inside the, right here, and you can hear the sound inside. Okay, so I was thinking if we remove this coupling here, which connects the lower shaft from the upper shaft, one goes inside the other and this coupling fits over them and clamps them together. So if we undo this coupling and we undo this and this mounting brackets, we can take the whole column out. We just need to disconnect these wires from here, which are for the high beam and low beam and the signals. So they're color coded, so we're just gonna make sure that they're connected properly. Yes, green with red, green with white, and green with brown. And here everything is connected properly. One is for the horn, this one. So we're just gonna do those and we're gonna remove the whole column. I'm really curious to know why they put this carton tube here. Okay, all brackets are removed, the coupling is removed, and now I can pull it out. Okay, so this is what I'm talking about. See this plate here? That's a lot. So if you look here, there are two holes and there's rubber sticking out of these two holes, here and here. So this is where one of the bearings is. And the other one must be here. I can see the holes here and they've been taped over to hold this bracket, but there I don't feel anything underneath. So we're going to remove this electrical tape and see if there's anything there underneath, but yep, there's nothing. So this is where the other bearing is missing. And also there's this, I don't know why this is here. Let's remove it. I don't know why they put it there. So this also, this bracket needs to be on the other side, right here, where the front clamp is to mount it on the dash. The rear one is here, the front one is here. So this goes right under. Show you. It needs to actually be here, like that, and the clamp, the front clamp, clamps over it. So anyway, now we can remove this. I don't think we're gonna have to remove the signal switch from here so we can take out completely the thing. I'm not really sure. We can actually remove it. Okay. So that's a homemade bearing, I guess. And the other one is here. Actually, this one is still here, but this one is the one that needs to be in this end. Okay, so we need a new bearing for here. Maybe we should get them both, or we should make something. Can we make it? All right, so everything is taken apart, and here you see inside there's still the bearing in place, and this one is in a good shape. And if I fit it there, it actually feels pretty good here. So the problem is only on this one, and this is the other one, and actually I don't think it is made up. Initially I thought this was something that somebody made up, but actually it still has the tooth here that fits inside this notch or this notch. So if maybe we can reassemble it and reuse it. I think when they took it apart and then they reassembled it, they didn't assemble it correctly. So yeah, it has a notch, it has a tab here and a tab on the opposite side. So these two tabs need to fit around like this. Yeah, this tab fits here, this fits there, and now let's see. Actually feels really good. Now, because these tabs are there, when it goes in and out, there's no way for the bearing inside to come out. I think that's really good. So the only thing that we need to figure out is how to put it on so this much is here and not move it anymore. Let's see. I'm actually gonna put some grease underneath also, but that's gonna be later. Like this. Okay. We just need to be able to hold it here. Maybe that's what the tape was for. I don't know. Okay, so the problem is that the friction between the bearing and the shaft is stronger or harder. What do you go with? Stronger, harder, whatever you want to call it, than the friction between the actual bearing and this tube. You see, I can spin the tube without spinning the bushing. So we need to make this a little bit bigger diameter, and the only way I can see that I can do that is with a little bit of electrical tape around it. The problem is though that when the friction is too strong here, I'm not gonna be able to push this tube down without moving the bushing. It's gonna start moving, you know what I mean? So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put this tube here underneath to hold it in place. Then I'm gonna put some electrical tape here. I'm gonna shove it in a little bit, like as hard as I can, and then we're gonna pull the whole assembly, and hopefully the bearing is gonna stay here without disturbing the inner sleeve or whatever it is. Then we can take this out, and we can always remove the steering wheel from here and pull it this way. Anyways, let's see if it is gonna work. Let's look at it. I think it actually wedged it pretty well there. I think that's an insulator or something. I don't know what this is. So now let's put this. We shouldn't forget this. I just don't want to remove the steering wheel, you know. I don't think this is going anywhere now. It is pretty well stuck there. Okay, now we're gonna put this cup here and this shim, and we're gonna assemble it, and then we're gonna put the switches that I took out. Or should we put them now? Yeah, you're right, it's gonna be easier now. So the signals are on this side, right? This is the bottom. This is where this bracket comes. So this is the bottom. So this is the signals and this is the high beam, low beam. So that's our signal switch. Tricky. But if it's tricky on the bench, it's gonna be even trickier inside the car. So let's do it now better. This one is snapped actually. They're all snapped, so oh my god. These have been soldered and not very well, so we're gonna have to solder them again. Okay, looks like we have more work to do here. Okay, I'm gonna solder them on my own and I'm gonna bring you back. Alright, I soldered these. Now they are nice and solid here, and this one as well. Come on. And the one underneath too. So they're staying, and inside there as well. So 3 of them I soldered. The 4th one was pretty good inside there. Anyway, so now this switch works as it should. Maybe I should put a little bit of electrical tape here, because from the rubbing, I don't think it's gonna be a mess, but why not? Okay, I reinforced it a little, but I think it's enough. Inside there you can see that for the flash to pass, I believe it's called, that contact, it works well. So that's how it's gonna be. Now let's see if this is gonna still fit this bracket. Where did it go? This bracket. Okay, that's good. It was missing a little bolt here, but we're gonna put one so it stays. What kind of a bolt was that? I need a smaller than this one, or drill the holes. Let me try and find a smaller one. Okay, so I ended up drilling the hole a little bit bigger here so I can put a bolt, but now it is nice and solid here. There's no play and it spins nicely. We only need to add this bracket, which now I don't know exactly where it needs to be. It depends on where that hold down is, that bracket inside under the dash. So we're gonna add that when we are under there. And this bushing here is staying where it's supposed to be. Like, it's wedged pretty well there. I'm sure it's not gonna move. This one is there. We can put it back on now. Now here, before I assemble it, I wanted to show you how this shaft that's coming from the steering rack has a flat side here. You see, the whole top is flat and it goes inside here, and this is where this coupling goes. And as you can see, this coupling also is not over when it's assembled. When it comes here, this flat part comes like that, and it pinches that other shaft from there with the flat side towards this opening here. And it can be adjusted how far in or out the whole steering wheel can go. So we're gonna mount the outer tube where we want it, and we're gonna adjust the length of the steering wheel, how far in or out we want it, and then we're gonna tighten that over there. So I'm gonna have to do that on my own because it's tight here, but I'm gonna show you the whole final result, I guess. All right, so you see, this is where I put this spring, or whatever you want to call it, right under this mount here, which has a plate on top with threaded holes. Then I have the upper half of this. It has ridges on both sides of this half moon here, and That's to hold the bracket inside, or the spring. And then we have this one that has this shape to accommodate this channel, and it goes through the other one like this, and then it bolts to that plate on top. And we have this one too that goes right here and holds the bottom end of the shaft or of the column. That allows us to position the outer tube in or out, wherever we want to put it. And also I already put that coupling there, but it is loose, it's just finger tight, so we can still stretch or shrink the shaft inside. And based on this discoloration here, I assume the whole shaft and the whole steering was a little bit further out. So I'm gonna try to position it the same way as before, because I'm sure the owner is used to that. So we're gonna pull out the whole steering wheel a little bit. I can't do it one-handed now, but you get the idea, right? Because the flat part on that shaft is pretty long, so we can pull out the shaft where it was before and put this where it was before. Okay, I tightened this pretty well. Turned out that one of the holes on top on the bracket was stripped, so I put a nut on top of that bracket or plate with the threaded hole on top. So I put another extra nut because the hole was stripped and it wasn't tightening, so maybe that was part of the problem as well. Anyway, so now it's tight, and the only thing that is loose now is the coupling there, so it's only finger tight. And before we tighten it, we're gonna adjust the position of the shaft, because you can see here now it can go in and out a lot, so we want it just there so it doesn't touch the escutcheon. That also is gonna affect the operation of the horn, so if something is not working well, I guess we should deal with that. I have the feeling that the whole assembly needs to be further in, and we can put it in, but that's where it was, and that's how the owner is used to the car, I guess. So I'm just gonna leave it here. Okay, all the wires are hooked up as well, and I just wanted to make sure that everything works. So let's see the flash to pass. Yeah, works well. Let's turn on the lights. So we have low beam, high beam, low beam, high beam, low beam. And then for the signals, we need to turn the ignition on. We have left signal, we have the right signal, so everything works as it should. Oh, even the horn works. Okay, so let's go for a test drive now. Unfortunately, it is still shaking. It is better, but it is still shaking. So I think what it is the whole assembly is too far out, and it's creating too much leverage here. So I think we're gonna just push it in as far as it goes, when I think that's how it needs to be. It doesn't need to be so far out. We're gonna try anyways. Okay, I moved it by this much, so that's what I should say, 2.5 inches. It went further in, and honestly I think this is where it's supposed to be. So now we have a shorter distance from here to here, which was probably too long before, and that's why it was so shaky. I'm hoping, wishful thinking. So let's test it again. That's pretty stable now. Alright, I came home and I lifted the front end because it continues to vibrate. Now we know that the steering column is not the reason anymore. So I came here and I found a little bit of play in this hub. I think it is the hub. I don't think it is the ball joint or anything. But also in this direction, there's something else happening. Actually, if I open the bonnet, you will see better. So if you look right here, you can see how it has a little bit of play. I think there is a play inside here on the tie rod where the ball joint is inside. I think it has a little bit of play there, but also it has a play here. Not sure if it is on the ball joint or the hub. I don't think it's the ball joint because I don't see any movement here. Let me move view so you can see better. So you try and guess. Is the vertical link moving? No. Only the wheel is moving, right? Let's do that on the other side. Here the play is much bigger actually. And I can tell it's from the hub. It's not from the ball joint. And in this direction, yeah. Well, what I'm gonna do then is I'm gonna disconnect the tie rod ends and we will figure out if there's play here and on the other side, and also I'm gonna try to tighten both hubs a little bit and see if that's gonna help. Okay, I started with the right side and look what I discovered here. First of all, I took out the nut from the tie rod end here and it came out very easy. Normally you have to use a spreader here to open it. This one just came out loose, which is fine. When the nut was tight, it was tight, so it was fine. But what I noticed here, I can't take it out. And I can't take it out because of the backing plate, which is in my way. Normally it shouldn't be in my way. So then I started looking more into it and look at this gap between the rotor and the plate. This gap normally is quarter inch, less than quarter inch, something like that. This is too big, and it's too big because this plate is reversed. So I think this plate needs to go on the other side, and the one on the other side, which is also that far away from the rotor, needs to come here. So I don't think that affects much anything other than protecting, because supposedly this is protecting the back of the rotor, but also I can't take it out here. So anyway, I believe that if I put a pry bar here, I can pry it, but I'm gonna have to bend it so I can take this out. Anyway, I guess we have to deal with the hubs anyway, so I think we should take the rotors out and reverse these plates because they are backwards. Yeah, that's super loose here, even though it doesn't have play. Has a little bit of play though. Normally they say that when this is to the proper tension, it needs to stay up. Wherever you leave it, that's where it should stay, but it doesn't. So I think we should open it, even though that's gonna be a pain in the butt after to put it back in, but at least this is a GT6, so there's no fender on this side when the bonnet is open, so it's gonna be easier. In the worst case scenario, we're gonna take the whole rack out, but I don't think we need to. Yeah, let's deal with the hubs first. So we have to take them both apart We're gonna see what the condition of the bearings is, and if we have to, we're gonna order new ones, but we might get away with just tightening them to the proper tension so there's no play here, which I'm pretty sure there wasn't 3-4 months ago when the car was here for just maintenance, and I'm pretty sure that this got developed lately, so we might need new bearings, but we will see. Anyways, we have to reverse the plates, so let's take it apart. Okay, both sides are now taken apart, so we're gonna take this plate, we're gonna move it here, we're gonna take this plate, and we're gonna install it here. Alright, so both sides are assembled now. There's this much now between the rotor and the plate. The other side as well. Well, I put the wheel on the other side already, but you can still see it here. That's the correct way to assemble that. So now the bearings are repacked, even though I packed these bearings in the spring and I'm sure that they were tightened properly. So anyways, they're one flat tighter than before, I believe, and now there's no play in the hub, but the main problem is here, I believe, in the steering rack, because let me see if I can demonstrate that again. Yep, let's pull this boot back and see. We're gonna try to work as the steering rack is on the car, because the other side is impossible to disassemble, I think. In order to take the steering rack out, I believe we have to remove the engine mounts and lift the engine up, because you see here on this side, this bracket is covered by the engine. So, like I said, the only way, I believe, is by removing the engine mounts and lifting the engine up. So I don't think we should go that far, at least for now. So let's work on the other side without removing the rack. Okay, let me explain what I'm doing here, because I know it's been a little bit too fast. So I pulled out the boot this way. We're gonna see how we're gonna put it back, because this is a big challenge to slide it over this knuckle here and to go over there, but that's a problem that we need to figure out later. So this is where my play is coming from. If you watch carefully here, okay, so I was able to loosen this nut, I should call it, and now I can remove it from here and disassemble the knuckle. But what's important to know here is that the rear end, or I don't know the names of the components here, but this nut here was tightened all the way till the end of the threads. So this is a locking nut, but this is a part of the whole joint. So this and this form the knuckle where the ball goes inside. So it's important to know that this was tightened all the way to the end of the threads, because if that gets tightened less or more, that's going to affect also the alignment of the wheel, you know what I mean? So now I can take it apart, bearing in mind that when I put it back, I need to put it back all the way till the end of the threads. So let's actually take it apart, and we're gonna assemble it again if we have to on the bench. So here there must be some shims, and there are, okay, one shim that's cut, two more, or three, no, two, okay. Is there more? There's the spring. That's it, there's no more shims. And this is the bed of the bow, I guess it's called, or that's what I'm gonna call it. That's the locking, like tab washer, and this is what I'm talking about. So this part was tightened all the way till the end of the threads, or until it bottomed out. It didn't reach the end of the threads, but it bottomed out. So you can imagine how this works, right? With this inside and with the locking and the tab washer in the middle, of course, we need to have just enough tension when it's tight all the way, just enough tension to make this nice and tight. So that's why I think we need to add one more shim to make it tight, because it wasn't tight before. So let's figure this out. Unfortunately, I don't have shims. I have shim material. The problem is it's gonna take forever to make a shim with this size. Unless we cut it with scissors. Yeah, why not? We can do that. Alright, so here we are on the bench, and these are all shims here. This one is cut. I don't know why. But I have here 2 thou shim material. So let's see, maybe I can cut it and with the scissors. Can I? Yeah, why not? There are ways to do it on the lathe, to do a whole bunch of shims at the same time, but that involves making some jigs and stuff that are particularly for this size shim, and then if you want a different size you have to make different set, and it's like crazy. Maybe I should make some, but for now I'm gonna try just to cut it with scissors, and we're gonna make a cut like this. It doesn't really matter here, right? Notice I'm not using my good scissors here. I'm using some sacrificial ones that my friend Eugene gave me with exactly that idea. He said, don't ruin your good scissors. Unfortunately, we have no choice but to cut it like this. And we need the hole in the middle for the spring. I'm gonna make the cut a little bit bigger so it doesn't overlap by chance. Like that. I'm assuming that's what somebody else did here, even though, I don't know. Maybe it was a bigger shim that they shortened. I don't know. Let's see if that's gonna fit inside. Yeah, perfect. Okay, let's assemble it then with the other 3 shims. We're gonna put this one here. Well, that wasn't mine, that was another, the other one. Okay, mine fits too. So here we have to put also the tab washer, because that's important. The thickness of this tab washer is part of the whole assembly, right? It's part of the whole mat formula here. Something's wrong with these shims though. Okay, let's tighten it on the vise. Okay, now there's no play. Let me show you. Actually, there is very little play, but much less than before. So we're gonna add one more shim. I also have all 5. Maybe we're gonna remove the 2 and we're gonna add a 5. Let's do that. Okay, let's take them out again. So this is my 2 thou shim. I'm gonna put it away. These are the 3 that were there before. I don't even know how much they are. That's fine. And here I have a 5 thou shim. So let's cut one 5 thou instead of the 2 that we've already put there. Hopefully the scissors are not gonna struggle with this one. Bought this with this idea to make my own shims on the lathe, but okay. So this is exactly what I was talking about. It's loose, but it stays where you leave it. Okay, so now we're gonna bend these tab washers back on this nut. So this tab holds this nut, these 2 tabs are gonna hold this nut, and we're good to go. We can put it back. Okay, we shouldn't forget the spring before we put it on the rack. And again, we're gonna tighten it all the way until the threads bottom out, and then we're gonna lock it in place with the other nut that is still on the rack. I'm just gonna put a lot of grease here now, and as I'm tightening it, I'm hoping that that grease is gonna push out through here, and then we're gonna have to fight with this to push it over this whole knuckle, but that's another story. Okay, so the 2 nuts are locked together, and you can see here the tie rod stays wherever we leave it, but it is pretty loose in the meantime, so that's exactly what we wanted. So let's see how we're gonna push this through. On top of it, we need to fill it up with grease, right? So that's gonna be fun. Just a day or 2 ago, actually, somebody emailed me asking if there is an easy way to do that. Well, and my response was, I've done it 1,000 different ways and none of them was easy. Every time it felt like pure luck when I was ready with it, but you never know, right? This is an old one. It looks like it's stretched already, so maybe. Well, I don't want to jinx it, but looks like it's going. Here it's having a hard time going over the tab washer, so that's why I put this to create a ramp. But the problem is it's not only one, right? And the other ones are underneath somewhere. Huh. I think it went over. Just trying to pull out the lip. There you go. Well, that was actually the easiest one I've ever done. I was expecting much more trouble, especially with it being in the car. So now let's lubricate this as well. as much as we can. I'm not sure you saw much of it because of the angle, I'm sorry, but I need to be able to see as well. Okay, so that feels much better now. There's absolutely no play here at all. So that's good. However, the other side has some noise. So I don't know if it is from the knuckle here, but this would be really easy to do, to check, because here the boot is much bigger, so we can strip it and check it and see where this is coming from. I'm afraid that it might be from inside here, where we also need shims, because look, the whole thing is moving. We're gonna have to do that, but I'm gonna take her out now because another car is coming, so I just need to move around. So this other car needs to go over there, so I'm gonna take her out now. We're gonna put the other car in and we're gonna go for a test drive just in case, and then we're gonna continue with this side. Here I also noticed something. So definitely the owner took it to the tire guys and they balanced it. Look how many weights are here. But what I noticed also is this wheel is bent. You see here how this goes in and out. So I don't know if it is, maybe that's also part of the problem. So maybe we can take this one, replace it, put it there, just switch them just in case. I don't know, we will see. For now, let me take her off the stands and take her out so we can park the other car in. Well, it definitely feels better, like a lot better, but I still think that we should replace the tires. Like, we should switch the wheels, put the front one in the back and the back one in the front, and see how that's gonna go, and then maybe we're gonna do the knuckle on the left side of the steering rack. Like I said, the vibrations are almost gone now, but there's still a little bit more, and I think we should switch this wheel with that wheel because of this bend here, right where the stem is. By the way, there's the next patient already here, so we're gonna start working on that soon. Stay tuned. Okay, the wheels are switched, so let's see now what's gonna happen. Not too bad. Still some vibration though, like very little, but there's still vibration. So let's do the left knuckle as well. Alright, the other one is stripped as well, and you can see that it is pretty loose too, and it has a little bit of play here. Like, I don't know how to do it one-handed, but I can't even hear it. There's no play here. At least I don't see any play, so that's good. So I'm gonna take it out completely, put it on the vise, and we're gonna do the exact same thing. Okay, so this one had 4 shims. This one is not great, so I think I'm gonna remove this one and I'm gonna add a 5 thou one. Where did my 5 thou go? There. Okay, that worked exactly as it should. So 5 thou added. I actually didn't remove that one shim. I kept it because I tried without it and it was too loose. So I put it back and now it is exactly what we want it to be. So I'm gonna add grease again and we're gonna close it. Okay, it's assembled now. And there's no noise, there's no play, nothing. Okay, final test drive. If that didn't get rid completely of the vibrations, I don't know what else to do. I think that's pretty good. I don't think it can be better than that. Okay. So I guess that's gonna do it. So that's gonna be the end of this video. So hopefully the owner is gonna be happy with it. Thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for commenting and subscribing and sharing and supporting me on Patreon and via PayPal and by sending me parts and tools and all the ways that you figure out, guys, that you can help me in. It is all really appreciated. So I'm not gonna hold you anymore. Once again, thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.